Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Gavin Lyons and I'm a photographer based here in Graz, and one of my favourite local bands is called Warranty, and today I'm going to film them and make a video, and I'm going to share my experience and also going to share some tips that I have that might be helpful for you guys out there.
What's in my cupboard? Some tea. Lots of tea. And more tea. So let's have a cup of tea.
First up, how would you film your local band? Well, obviously you got to turn up, and to turn up early, because turning up early helps you get a good position in front of the stage to get those exceptional images and get those professional looking images. The next thing, and this is probably kind of the secret, is to pick a small event. One that's preferably on a weeknight, especially if you're starting off and you don't have access to a press pass, and you just want to get those images, or you want to make a video. You've also a better chance to actually get some interesting shots and closer shots on a more intimate and smaller event. The next thing is you'll also probably get a chance to actually chat to the band and get to know them. And this is really great because the band might be interested in a video, or they might be interested in some photography, and so you kind of can work together. Now it's important that when you go to a small gig or any gig, is that you let the band actually perform and get on what they're doing, and you don't really disturb them. And that means you've got to feel what's going on. So get into the music. Don't photograph or video every solid song, but at least listen to half of the set and have a drink or two, and you just let the band know that you're actually enjoying yourself and actually enjoying the music. That's really important. So let's talk about the hardware. The first thing you'll need is a fast lens, a damn fast lens actually. You'll need something like an f2 or faster, a nice big piece of glass. And this is really important when you're photographing low light, in those nocturnal activities. And what's happening on stage. You want to capture that, and you want to capture that fast enough. You'll need also a camera that is going to work at 1080p. So let's talk about the lens. So most lens manufacturers have something called a nifty 50, and they usually go for about $100 or so. In my case, to photograph Warranty, I'm using something a little bit more expensive because I prefer to shoot a 24mm, and this is a Fuji 16mm f.4mm. I have used in the past on larger gigs when I'm quite far away from the stage a Canon 135mm f2. Phenomenal lens if you're away from the stage and you want to get portraits, and that's for larger events. But in my case it was a small event, so it requires a smaller lens. Now that we've talked about the lens, it's important to talk about batteries. You'll need at least 2 more batteries, especially if you're recording video. Video is very hefty on the batteries. Then the next thing is memory cards. Always have a spare memory card or enough capacity on your memory card. I was using a 128 gig memory card. I actually bought that for €20, and it works perfectly for 4K video. So let's talk briefly about the camera you'll need. You need any kind of camera that's well able to capture 1080p, and that can work in low light. So low light meaning about 3200 ISO, and that's really important if you're going to film a small gig in the night. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the exposure. The first thing I usually do would be to lock in the ISO, and I take a few test shots of the band while they're running, when they're setting up and they're doing their first few songs, and I go, okay, what's the ISO in here? And I have a look at my shutter speed and the aperture I'm using. So ISO, I would start off at 3200, and that usually works pretty well. Then your shutter speed, you should be at least 1/50th of a second if you're on a small lens for handheld. If you're on a larger lens like a 135mm lens, you'll need to go up to at least 1/160th of a second. That's really important, otherwise your images won't be sharp. I tend to keep the lens wide open at f2 or f1.4 keep it wide open. You're working quite close to the stage. You're doing portraits mainly most of the time. So that's the exposure part. Now to get the shot. To get the shot, you need to position yourself, and that's really important. The lead singer is the first port of call, and then you got to figure out where the lead guitarist is, if he's left or right of the lead singer. Position yourself between the lead singer and the lead guitarist. That way you can photograph from one to the other. So that's your kind of the first kind of set of shots you want to either record or photograph. You also want to get a shot of the audience, not too many, and a shot of the entire band. That's important, so that you have audience, band, and the front man and whatever action is going on. So the final thing I want to say is that you wait till the band actually warms up, and that tends to be towards the end of the night, towards the end of their set. Now you don't want to wait till the last song, of course. You want to wait till at least the third last song or the second last song, and this tends to be when the band is really going. It's making all those facial expressions and throwing shapes, and they really are into it at that point, and that's when you're going to make a good video. I'm going to get those photographs. So I hope those tips have proved useful to you, and they'll help you film your next top video. So for me anyway, it was useful to write them down and to put it together in the blog post and in this video. Now finally, your post process, the last piece of the whole puzzle. Now I'm using Capture One for my images. Capture One Express is free for Sony and Fuji. I really like this program. It's a great workflow. For video editing, I'm using DaVinci Resolve, and I can't state how much I really like this program. It doesn't really have any limits on what you can do, and I'm constantly learning new stuff in DaVinci Resolve, so I recommend learning DaVinci Resolve. Absolutely super. This video is actually probably going to be recorded in DaVinci Resolve because I don't really use anything else. So without me rambling on, I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't, give me a thumbs down and put a note down in the comment. And if there's something that you'd like me to cover in the future, feel free to write something in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The more subscribers, it's going to encourage me to make more videos and to improve my content. So thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Goodbye.
T.